You know that moment when you ask ChatGPT something and you get an answer back instantly? Like, instantly. A few seconds and boom, you've got paragraphs of useful information. It feels free. It feels effortless. But here's what most people don't realize. That one question you just asked, it cost money. Real money. And not just a tiny amount. We're talking fractions of a penny per query, sure. But when you multiply that across millions of people asking millions of questions every single day, the numbers get genuinely wild. And this is starting to become a problem in ways that nobody's really talking about. So think about this for a second. These AI companies, the ones making billions in valuation, getting all the hype, getting all the investment, they're burning through absolutely insane amounts of money just to keep the lights on. And I'm not exaggerating. We're talking billions of dollars a year just in compute costs. Data centers running 24/7, consuming more electricity than small countries. And that bill keeps getting bigger every single quarter. Here's the question that's starting to haunt the industry. At what point does it become unsustainable? And more importantly, what happens to AI when it does? Because if you're a creator, or you're building a business, or you're relying on these tools becoming cheaper and more accessible over time, this matters to you way more than you think.
So let's actually break down what's happening behind the scenes. Because when you ask an AI a question, it's not magic, it's computation. Thousands of calculations happening in massive data centers. And every single one of those calculations costs electricity. It costs cooling. It costs the hardware itself, which degrades over time. It costs the engineers maintaining the whole thing. A single query to GPT-4? We're talking somewhere around half a cent to a few cents per response, depending on how long your prompt is, how long the response is, what model you're using. Sounds tiny, right? But here's where it gets interesting. OpenAI is processing literally hundreds of millions of queries per day now. Do the math on that, that's not millions in costs. That's potentially hundreds of millions per month, maybe over $1 billion a year in pure inference costs alone. And that's just one company. But wait, there's a bigger problem underneath this. These companies trained these models at an even more insane cost. We're talking tens of billions of dollars just to train one model. GPT-4? Estimated between $5 and $10 billion. Claude 3? Similar ballpark. Gemini? Probably even more. And then you have to run them, forever, with no off switch. So here's what's actually happening. These companies are essentially in this arms race where they have to keep making the models smarter, more capable, more competitive, because if they don't, someone else will. But making them smarter means more compute means bigger bills means what exactly? How do you actually make money off this? And this is where most people get it wrong. They think these companies are making insane profits right now. But actually, and this is the part that Bobby from accounting would probably explain to you, most of these AI companies aren't profitable yet. They're spending more than they're making. They're burning through investor cash like it's water. OpenAI, for example, is reportedly losing money every quarter. Anthropic? Same story. Google's pouring billions into AI development with no clear ROI timeline. The business model is fuzzy right now, and that's a problem. Think about it this way. Netflix figured out how to make subscription work. Amazon figured out how to scale cloud computing profitably. But AI companies, they're still figuring out the formula. Do you charge per query, like an API? Do you charge per subscription, like ChatGPT Plus? Do you license models? Do you sell enterprise access? Every option has massive trade-offs. Here's the thing that's really starting to worry investors and industry people. What if you can't actually build a sustainable business around this? What if the cost of running these systems will always be so high that you can never charge customers enough to make it work? What if this whole thing is less like electricity, a utility that gets cheaper as you scale, and more like a luxury good that costs more the bigger it gets?
Okay, so here's the uncomfortable truth. The free AI era might not last forever, and that changes everything for the way you work right now. Think about it. Right now, you can use ChatGPT for free. You can use Claude for free. You can use Gemini for free. These tools are borderline miraculous if you're a creator, a developer, a student, anyone trying to get work done faster. But that only works if you're okay with limitations, less capable models, slower responses, maybe ads someday.
Or you pay $10 a month for the good version. But what happens when the bills get even more unsustainable? What if the economics force these companies to either dramatically raise prices or cut off the free tier completely, or start charging per query? What if AI stops feeling like a utility you just have and starts feeling like a premium service you can't always afford? Here's what actually matters for you right now. The companies that survive this transition will be the ones that figure out how to make AI valuable enough that people willingly pay for it. And that means the AI that sticks around won't just be smart, it'll need to solve real problems that make money. That's brutal, but it's real. For creators, this is actually interesting because right now you might be using AI to write scripts, brainstorm ideas, generate thumbnails, edit videos faster. You're probably not paying much or paying subscription fees that seem reasonable, but if costs go up, prices go up. So here's what you actually need to do. Start thinking about which AI tools are genuinely making you money, not just saving you time. The ones that actually improve your output quality or let you produce more content faster, those are the ones worth paying for when prices inevitably rise. The others, you need backup plans. For developers and builders, the picture's different. If you're building on top of APIs, using Claude's API, OpenAI's API, whatever, you're already paying per query. And those costs are real. They show up in your unit economics immediately. So you're probably already thinking about optimization, about using smaller models where you can, about caching. That's the future for everyone else too, honestly. Efficiency becomes the skill, knowing which tool is right for which job. Not just use the smartest model, but use the smartest model you actually need. For entrepreneurs thinking about building AI products, this is both opportunity and warning. The window where you can build on free or cheap AI infrastructure is closing. The companies that can absorb rising costs and still deliver value, those win. Everyone else gets squeezed out. So if you're building something, you need a real unit economic model now, not eventually, now. But here's what's really interesting and why you should actually be paying attention to this. This might force a completely different kind of AI innovation. Right now, there's this assumption that bigger is better. Bigger models, more parameters, more compute. But if compute becomes genuinely constrained by cost, suddenly smaller, more efficient models become valuable. Suddenly, knowing how to do more with less becomes the competitive advantage. And that might be better for everyone, honestly. Better for the environment, better for accessibility, better for actual real-world applications instead of just pure capability arms races. What you need to watch for in the next 12 to 24 months, pricing changes, new business models you haven't thought of yet, possible consolidation as weaker players get bought out or shut down, and the rise of specialized AI tools that solve one thing really well, instead of trying to do everything. The big picture, the golden age of free, unlimited AI might be ending before we even realized it was a golden age. But that's not necessarily bad news, because scarcity drives innovation, constraints force better thinking, and the companies and creators who adapt fastest, who start thinking about AI as something you're strategic about, not just something you use casually, those are the ones who win in the next era. So maybe the real question isn't how long will AI stay free, it's how do I use this current window of cheap, powerful AI to build something that'll still matter when the economics change. That's worth thinking about. If this got you thinking about where AI is actually headed, not the hype version, but the real economics underneath, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What AI tools are you actually willing to pay for? And what ones are you just trying to use while they're still free? Drop your take in the comments. And if you know someone building something with AI, send this their way. They probably need to hear it.